Hello, Scorpio. Hi, Scorpio. This is your May 2016 horoscope with me, Lada from Astrolada.com. The horoscopes are coming a bit late. Sorry, this month, because I've been a bit poorly. I'm still poorly under the weather. After all the eclipses, I haven't been able to recover because they fell exactly on my planet of health that rules my horoscope. So it's been like 2 prolonged months of being ill, but I'm not missing those horoscopes. So here we are. What is happening in May for you? There is a big trigger of your social houses. The social houses are the 7th, the 3rd, and the 11th. They're like 5 planets that are triggering your social houses, Scorpio. So this will be a month when you're busy communicating with others. This is a month when you should be busy building bridges with others. And the good thing is that these planets that are triggering those social houses of yours, they're doing it through a beautiful Grand Trine, because they're all 120 degrees from each other, and these are the most supportive aspects in astrology. They make like an equilateral triangle, the shape of the planets in May. And they trigger your social houses of other people, relationship, partnerships, teammates, playmates, of friendships, of contacts, everyday contacts, every other human beings, basically, communication, information, sharing, exchanging of ideas. So these things will step up for you in May. And these things, some of them, and because there is this beautiful Grand Trine, you'd receive a lot of support. Actually, that's why I told you, build bridges now in May, even starting from the end of April, the last 10 days, with other people. Reach out to people you haven't been in touch for a while, or they will also reach out, people that you haven't heard from in a while, and they can bring something that, from the past, and or some new ideas as well that you can be beneficial from you, some new contacts that you can create as well. And Mercury is moving retrograde in your 7th house. There is like the biggest action is in your 7th house of partnerships, one-to-one partnerships, like marriage, like committed relationships, like business partnerships, like relationships with clients one-to-one, or any important people in your life that you consider very close, like a part of you, like important, very close friends as well, is 7th house. So there will be, a lot of exchanges with such people, but Mercury retrograde moving there means that someone from the past can come into your life. Okay, so a past relationship that you can get in touch with, and it doesn't have to be only a sexual lover relationship, but usually it tends to work out this way. It can be like a old friend that comes, that gets in touch with you, someone, an old partner, an old client, but it's important. This time is not something trivial, just hi, how are you? It gives you an opportunity, Mercury retrograde, to look at an old relationship with new eyes, and to possibly release some misconceptions or some pains or hurts from that relationship, or if there was some misunderstanding in a relationship that never get cleared, it can come to the surface again now, to be resolved and to be talked through and to be cleared in some way and to be seen from a different perspective. So we don't judge others in this way, or we don't blame ourselves in some way. And sometimes actually they can be, I've even seen like reconnections with old partners that happen. Someone comes into your life, from the past, and you start being in touch again. But it's not necessarily that it will happen for everyone. For some of you, there might need to be a revision of your current relationship. If you're already in a relationship, Mercury retrograde is all about especially in the 7th house in particular of relationship, is about re-evaluating that relationship, seeing it from a different angle, and correcting mistakes that are actually like little underwater stones that you've not been seeing and you've been tripping on, but you've been carrying on, and now those underwater stones become more of boulders, and you'll be able, through communications and through reaching out an agreement and renegotiating the terms and conditions of your relationship, whether business or personal marriage relationship, by renegotiating the contractual side and the promises or the responsibilities in the relationship, or the roles each one plays, you'll be able to remove those boulders and make those relationships way more stable and strong. But unfortunately, relationships which there is no two-sidedness in them, when the other does not want to reach out and communicate as well, or if there is closing down of communication from one side, there might be a period of even separation that happens. I get a lot of orders for breakups while Mercury is retrograde, especially from people who have it retrograde in their 7th house from the sun or ascendant or the moon. And usually those relationships, if they're stable, once Mercury starts moving direct, they get back together. They talk things out. Or if they're not very stable, creates like a more lasting rift between them. But usually more stable, good relationships that are worth it, people talk things through. And even very stable relationship can have some hiccup, and renegotiating, re-talking about, important emotional conversations with partners, business or personal. And this will set you on better terms and conditions together. And retrograde planet requires 3 times more effort to work through something. And for you, this is now relationships. But those 3 times more effort that you put after that give you 3 times more lasting and fulfilling results. And I keep repeating that. Retrograde planets are not bodies. Mercury retrograde is not here to fuck up with you. Mercury retrograde is here to strengthen, to find to bring back to the surface things that were not said, unsaid things. That's why often people have more rocky times in relationships when Mercury is retrograde in their 7th house, because Mercury becomes super strong when it's retrograde. It's 3 times closer to Earth. The Sun is no longer between the Earth and Mercury. Mercury is directly close to the Earth. So all matters of Mercury come to the surface. So there will be like an overflow of Mercury things, which is communications, things that you did not say, that you have not said before, that you have left unsaid, either not to hurt someone's feelings or either because it felt trivial at the moment. Then it can come back to the surface, and people can say, either others can say this to you, so you can set this relationship straight after that, or others can say what's been bothering them about your relationship, or you can be the one that goes and starts picking those things up. And it's the time to do actually that. Other astrologers will tell, don't speak, don't confront, I don't tell you go argue like the neighborhood crazy person, but do reach out with your requests to people. Do speak up those things, because this is exactly the time when Mercury is so intense, and it allows for communications, even though intense communications of things from the past can be hurtful, can rock the boat a little bit, but this is exactly what we need sometimes. This different perspective and clarity, how we're standing with another or how they're standing with us, so we can smooth out this relationship. And I promise you, by the time Mercury starts moving direct, if you've done your job well, if you didn't bottle down and instead had angry outbursts and accusations instead, but you talked calmly through that and you stated your terms of contracts, business or whatever, you would have negotiated much better relationships. You'd have achieved 3 times stronger and more, at least for a longer time ahead. And that starts happening towards the end of May, so things start smoothing out then. And if you're trying to sign some contract, this is again those social houses. It might have to be revised to read the small print, and then after the 23rd of May onwards, things start moving smoother, and you'll find yourself, maybe if you're trying to sell or buy something, whether it's, something big, small, or make a contract with someone, you're researching it and working on it, and a contract might come back to you to redo it, to make it better, to perfect it, which is Mercury, maybe to make a totally new agreement of sorts. But don't think, and the bad agreements, they'll fall through. And if something falls through as an agreement or relationship now, you have to be super relieved, because this is actually something that in the long run was gonna create more difficulties for you, because you've overseen something either in those relationships or in those contracts, those agreements, that if you had carried on without finding those things, which Mercury retrograde brings, you'd have regretted way more later on. The consequences would have been much longer. So you have to be only grateful for such periods. And when they come, just be prepared to have plan B, plan C, to be open for negotiations, to be flexible as well, and to know that very likely by the time Mercury starts moving direct, the relationship will improve, the contract will happen, but at a better level, or a new one will come which is better for you. Okay, So that's on one side. And you have support in your relationship. But actually, there is also a renewal of relationships because the sun is also in your 7th house, Scorpios. And the sun, whenever it transits a house, it's about new beginnings. It's giving you a fresh start there, fresh perspective. So indeed, there might be things from the past coming, but there will be also new opportunities in those relationships, even making new such business relationships, meeting new such people that are potential partners as well for you. Because the sun is this, energizing, revitalizing, fresh energy. And Venus is also in your 7th house. So this Mercury retrograde is very much supported by good planets. Venus is the planet of agreement. So you can achieve this balance and improved relationships and deepen intimacy and closeness and improved contractual sides of the relationship through diplomacy, through kindness to each other, through a smooth tone, through charm. And also Venus in the 7th house often tends to bring more loving experiences in one's life, more pleasurable experiences through others. That's why I told you, build bridges, don't burn them. Even some opportunities for dates and pleasant relationship experiences and deeper intimacy as well. And you'll receive support for that from other people on your path of your relationship, this relationship month that is happening in May, because Jupiter is sending trine to this Mercury and to Venus and to the Sun from your 3rd house. Is it? No, from your 11th house of friendship. So friends can be very supportive, or benefactors of some sort can be very supportive in that process for you. And Pluto is sending a trine from your 3rd house. Siblings, relatives, casual friends, teammates, playmates, So this is where you're receiving support from. And if it's about contractual business relationships, you can form such strong and good ones. You can, some friends or benefactors can introduce you to new opportunities as well through this Jupiter in your 11th house. So stay open and stay tuned, and your communication skills will definitely help in that. And another thing that's happening, Scorpio, is that, let's see, Mars and Saturn are retrograde in your 2nd house. I talked in depth about that in the April video, so you want to know more in depth. I speak about 10-15 minutes exactly about those 2 planets retrograde in your 2nd house of money, and they continue to be like that in May. Just go back to the April videos and watch a Scorpio video, but I'll quickly remind you that 2 retrograde planets there ask you to revise your finances, how you're doing them, ask you to research better, ask you to put extra efforts, triple extra efforts, because these are the 2 tough planets that require efforts anyway, of personal willpower, personal perseverance, not to give up, but not to also go throw things out and end everything. But this is regarding material, financial things, so you'll be doing some reevaluations. There might be some kind of complications financially, or extra financial stress, or some kind of need for expenses that happen. But they're possibly long-term investment rather than regard it as a long-term investment rather than expense. And try not to do risky financial moves like crazy new investments or something. More like work on your previous finances, how you budget, how you deal with your possessions, and retrograde planets can return some possessions from you from the past. Good for buying like second-hand things, for example, which is coming to you from someone back, in a sense. Or it's good for doing a rescheduling, restocking of your possessions of some sort, and nettling away, cutting away the necessary things and possessions and things that actually are binding you to something. And that's why usually Saturn and Mars, the 2 malefics, they try to relieve your burden from things and matters in the 2nd house, which are no longer productive, which are no longer, they're just burdening you in some way. So don't consider it like a loss, consider it like a cleansing process. And they also will help you to investigate, to analyze, to restructure your finances in a better way. And by the time they start moving direct towards the middle of the summer, you would have a more stabilized financial situation, even though initially while they're retrograde, it might feel like the opposite exactly. But anyway, this is how things are for you, Scorpio. Thank you very much. Subscribe to my channel, or follow me on Facebook. Astrolada is the name there, where I will give free webinars, and you can sign in for my free webinars where I post new articles every day, astrological, when I give free advice and free readings with my psychics. You can win a free reading. You can win a free reading with me as well, or with one of my astrologers. So stay tuned and follow me on Facebook. Thank you very much, Scorpios.